Welcome back, tjkshares, a conversation with Godfrey Ngabirano, part number 2. These conversations are so juicy, they are so educative. We want to do them in 2 parts so you can get all the information and get to listen to all episodes at once. When we stopped, my friend, you were talking about how grandmothers were mobilized. You had done Kanung already. We are going to go into revolving fund. We will go to where we are with that program now. We're going to go into the expansion of that program. And then we will conclude with the future plans, of which you planted a seed and foundation where this program begins. So you are working with grandmothers. Some are testing HIV/AIDS. Some are surprised their grandchildren don't have HIV/AIDS. Community basic rights are being met. Then please tell us how the revolving fund started, how you ended up with more staff to do microfinance, the role that women empowerment out of San Diego played, to the extent of naming one of the groups, the Gene Fort group in Windy at Mukono Church. And while you talk about this, you can always pull out one specific example. There are so many, or that inspires you and what you saw in the progression from zero earning to now being self-sustaining women. Thank you again for being here. Please take us.
Thank you so much, Jackson. After mobilizing these grandmother groups and training them in income generation, we found out that what now they lacked was only some funds to help them start income generating activities. Because they had been well trained, we are holding trainings where Kakajole was instrumental. We would have residential trainings whereby all leaders from the chairperson up to the secretary for mobilization, they were 6. All of them were trained by Kakajole. So they had to go back and train others. So now my work was simplified. And again, these grandmother leaders knew how to write and read. So they were very useful in teaching other grandmothers to write books of accounts. So we trained them very well. So in 2008, Nyaka received some funds to work as a revolving fund. So by that time, I was in the field with the accountant. We had to disburse this money to the groups that were already organized. These groups included the groups such as Nyaka Mukaka Group, Nyarugunda Mukaka Group in Kambuga, Bugon Mukaka Group, then Kutamba School in Rukunjiri. They were not very many. So we gave them funds. At first, we thought we are worried that this money would not be recovered. But this grandmother surprised us. We first gave them the money for 6 months. Within 6 months, they used the money and called me that your money is ready. You come and collect it and take it back, and you instead give us more money, much more money. So, but during that time, I was doing monitoring, see the income generating activities the grandmothers were engaged in. Some of them were doing poultry, others were doing, they had goats, they had both goats. Others, they were doing farming, like beans. Others, in fact, were trading in porridge. They were making porridge and selling in markets. While others had made some small eating places in the markets and were selling food. And they were doing well. So when I did the assessment, I found out that in fact they needed much more money. So we increased the amount of money for loans, but still it was not enough. Then all of a sudden we received visitors who had come to study the microfinance program. It was Janet and Steve. from the women empowerment.
Yes.
So they came and I took them around. They visited these groups. In fact, even we took time and we went for home visits, see what these grandmothers were doing. Steve and Janet were impressed. When they went back, we are given more money from the women empowerment. That's when it became wonderful. These grandmothers got enough money. Some were receiving up to 5 million. For example, I can mention some groups. There was a group of Nyaka school. They knew how to make very good handcrafts, but they didn't have money to buy materials to use. It was Nyaka school, Nyarugunda Mukaka group, Bugonji Mukaka group, and Gindi, this one that we named later Fort Jean. So they were capable of doing very good handcrafts, but they didn't have the money to buy the materials to use. So when we gave them the loans, these grandmothers bought the materials and made very nice baskets. So another good thing, Jackson was able to get us a market in America. So Jackson, I would collect these baskets and send them to Kampala. Then Jackson gets them, and then they fetch good money. These grandmothers were earning a lot of money from these handcrafts. So these grandmothers, in fact, became rich. All of a sudden, they become rich. Some bought goats, others bought some pieces of land, some grandmothers bought cows. So the success stories were wonderful. In fact, everybody was impressed. Even the local leaders were impressed. And so, because we are doing a great work, the community leaders, the politicians also gave us helping hand. Wherever they would get a chance of meeting these grandmothers, they also do some sensitization, encourage them not to default. So the microfinance program did wonders. Grandmothers were everywhere saying second-hand clothes. Grandmothers were in the market selling porridge. Some started trading in fish. Others started trading in charcoal. A lot of businesses started. And the grandmothers were able to pay school fees for their children. Some of the grandchildren had dropped out of school. The grandmothers were able to take them back to school. So the microfinance program did wonders to the families of grandmothers in Kanungu.
Very good, Godfrey. I recently was in Uganda, and we went to Bugonji to meet grandmothers there just 3 weeks ago. And one grandmother stood up to give her testimony and said, when grandmother's program started, I was a stay-home mom. I went every day to dig. I then learned how to make baskets and beads, the beads that they make, paper beads. Said I was selling each bead 5,000 Uganda shillings. And each time you and the staff members came, you took about 50 to 60 beads she had made. She made so much money and was able to build a home at home with her husband, go to Kambuga town and buy a plot and build a shop there, which she rents out, and then buy a car. And then her and her husband now have built a church and donated it to the community. That's where we were meeting, and then educate their children.
I know that grandmother.
The customers, ladies and gentlemen, of Nyaka Microfinance Bank, which has opened since Godfrey retired. So the economic empowerment you've put in the area is still thriving. We thank you. We appreciate you. Grandmothers didn't end there. Godfrey, you went into another district. And that was right during COVID. Talk a little bit about the challenges grandmothers faced during COVID, especially that grandmother who continued to sleep in the market, selling her tomatoes in, that was Butogota?
That was in Chihi market.
Chihi market, yes. Talk
Yes.
about a little bit of that and the expansion. Why did you decide to expand into Rwanda?
Thank you so much. In fact, COVID, like anybody else said, these grandmothers faced a lot of challenges with COVID. First of all, when they closed the markets, when they closed everything, so these grandmothers, their sales of course definitely also reduced. So it was not an easy time for them, but they persisted. For example, like these ones who were trading in food, some of these grandmothers were forced to go and stay in the market while selling their foodstuffs. Fortunately, Nyaka had given them mosquito nets. So they would go in the market, cover themselves with that mosquito nets, sleep in the morning, sell their tomatoes, matoke, cabbages, and what have you. They were many. So these grandmothers, the good thing is that when the drugs for COVID came in, they were easily mobilized and got the treatment. So it helped them very much. But unfortunately, we lost some few grandmothers to COVID, but others were able to recover from COVID because of the other immunization they got. Then it was during that time that we found it necessary to extend Nyaka services to the neighboring district of Rubanda. Because Rubanda neighbors with Kanungu district, because these grandmothers in Rwanda had heard of what Nyaka was doing in Kanungu. They had, some grandmothers had received homes, others, Peter twins. Then there was this revolving fund where they were benefiting a lot of things. Remember, some of the old women in Rwanda have got their relatives in Kanungu. So they had first-hand information about what Nyaka was doing to the grandmothers. So some of these grandmothers started escaping from Rwanda to come and join grandmother groups in Kanungu, which is a very long distance, like 30 kilometers. Yeah. So grandmother would move from Rwanda, she comes, get registered in Kanungu secretly, then she keeps on coming to attend meetings because they have to meet at least once every month. And those grandmothers could not miss any group meeting. Those ones from Rwanda. So it took me time to identify that problem. But all of a sudden, we are putting up some homes. Then the grandmothers identified a certain woman to benefit from a home. So when I went for verification, in fact, they showed me the place. I didn't know that I had crossed Kanungu, that I was already in Rwanda. So the woman received the home. And she was from Rwanda, which was very wrong because we were not supposed to operate in Rwanda. We are not registered there. But they did it tactfully because she was bad off. In fact, she was very, very bad off. Then during my monitoring activities, I sensed the place was not in Kanungu, was in Rwanda. I contacted the person LC1. For the first time, he accepted that he was in Kabare, he was in Rwanda, not in Kanungu. But nothing we could do. So we saw their need. They desperately needed grandmother groups. So when funds were available, we were allowed to go and extend our services to Rwanda. And by the way, the leaders there welcomed us highly. Then we started groups and formed 53 groups in Rwanda with their executive members. And this time, the challenges we had faced in Kanungu could not be repeated in Rwanda. In Rwanda, by the way, we are able to recruit grandmother leaders who are highly educated, retired teachers, retired nurses, so they can write, read, and make reports in English. And like the challenges we faced in Kanungu, because when we were starting in Kanungu, it wasn't easy. You would reach a place, form a group, and fail to get a secretary who can write for them.
That's true. Yeah.
In fact, it was not easy. You would end up recruiting a secretary who can't write very well and read very well. So when we went to Rukunjiri, it was minimized. Then by the time we went to Rubanda, we got the right people. So in Rubanda, once you go there and you need people to go for a training of trainers, there are very many who can do that. So in Rwanda, we sensitized them, and after forming the groups, so they have also started receiving revolving fund, and I got phone calls from these grandmothers saying they are doing wonders. They are planting Irish potatoes. You know, they mature quickly. Within 4 months, the grandmother has already harvested and sold her produce and paid back the loan. So the revolving fund in that part of Rwanda is doing well in Irish potatoes, in cabbages, in fact, generally vegetables. So they are doing well, and I'm grateful for the woman empowerment and other donors for that revolving fund, because it has greatly changed the socio-economic living standards of grandmothers. Because in each family where you go, you find the grandmother has got an income generating activity that she can show you. So she's sure that after 3 months, if the hailstorm doesn't destroy my crops, I will earn like 2 million shillings from my produce. So they are doing well.
Very good. Thank you, Godfrey, for taking us through the journey of grandmothers. During your time also is when we identified that our girls were being raped as they go to school. And a department that was started in Yaka, one of these days we'll bring Jennifer to speak about that. Jennifer Nawera and Brenda, who also ran it, and Bosco. For those of you who want to know more about that program, there is a link we put in the bio, Victors, that a free documentary, small documentary is online, you can watch it. Talk a little bit about your efforts in combating sexual and gender-based violence and the role grandmothers play. And then we are going to shift into your retirement and what you are up to these days, what you are doing.
Thank you very much. In fact, during my tenure as a grandmother coordinator, I faced a lot of challenges. Some of these grandchildren were being defiled, as others were being forced into marriages, others were being of a younger age. These small boys who ride border borders would deceive them, convince them, take them out of school, go and marry them after 1 year, then that one is chased. So it was a very big challenge. Sometimes I would go for a home visit. I find there a young girl with a child with another child.
Yes.
You find they don't, because there is no income generation, they don't even have soap, they don't have anything. So the young lady is suffering. So whenever I would start interviewing her, she would just cry, because she was already in a situation where she couldn't get out. She couldn't get out. Sometimes I would be forced to get some little money from my pocket and buy like soap, such as things to these young ladies. Others, I would report to the local authorities, to police, but because I was overwhelmed by the work, it was too much, and there were still few field officers, because by that time we were only 2. So the case would end up being dropped out, or the perpetrator would bribe her way out of the prison, and he disappears. So it was a challenge, not until Nyaka brought this system of this branch of gender-based violence did wonders when they came. In fact, that's when our young girls were rescued. Because remember, during my time, the area had grown very big. Because as I say, in 2007, we started with one group that had 63 grandmothers. But then within that year, we were 55. Then the following year, we added 46. By the time I retired recently, we had 253 grandmother groups with 20,000 grandmothers. So you see the population was very big. So gender-based violence was much highly needed. And by the way, it would be better if funds would allow to extend those services to Rwanda. Because Rwanda, it is terrible also. If funds were available, Rwanda would get those services as soon as possible. So
I think we need to talk to the LC5 of Rubanda. I'll ask LC5 of Kanungu to connect us with LC5 of Rubanda. It is something we can do. In fact, this year, 2024, our efforts were gearing towards doing a walk against gender-based violence in the Rubanda district and opened there a healing center, just like the ones we have in Kanungu.
That would be great.
Yes, so thank you for making a plug for them. All right, so now you grew the program. Denise, who has taken over, in between we had Bishop Kakuru Bernard also step in. The program has grown, the staff has grown, the money revolving fund has grown. Now there is a bank that was established in Kanungu that's going to go digital. So all grandmothers can bank from there. In our efforts to continue mobilizing, continue saving lives, but also empowering communities to be economically sustainable, physically sustainable, spiritually sustainable, but also emotionally sustainable. You have since retired. Let's come back to Godfrey, the man himself. You live in your home with your wife. How is she doing? How is your daughter? And how is your grandchildren? Then tell us what you are doing now after retirement.
Thank you so much. I retired recently from the Grandmothers Project, but I'm very happy and grateful for what I achieved in the Grandmothers Project and Nyaka in general.
Yes,
I am very happy for being part of the team that has changed lives of our community. So my wife is doing well, and so is the daughter and the granddaughters. They are two, aged 8 and 4. So they are doing well. So after retiring, in fact, I didn't retire.
Yes.
I retired from Nyaka, but I have remained a community counselor.
Yes.
So, yes, privately, people come with challenges, more especially some young women, old men. I counsel families. So I'm still active serving the community. But after retiring from Nyaka, I decided to try business.
Yes.
In produce. I opened up a store, a food store, where I sell walnuts, millet flour, maize flour, and other cereals. So I decided to start that business because I had observed that there was no steady supply of such items.
Yes.
But while working with Nyaka, because I was able to move from village to village while doing Nyaka work. By the way, I know all the villages in Kanungu district and Rubanda district plus Rwanda. So I had identified sources where such items could be bought at a slightly cheaper price during harvest and then later on make profit. So that's why I decided to get involved in that business. But because I do other works, I'm helped by my wife who attends to the shop when I am doing other activities. Yes. Because I have also ventured in planting avocado. Avocado, it is a new species that has been introduced in Uganda. So I'm now into avocado and some few coffee seedlings.
Yes.
Then I also have some few goats and chicken, and then I do some piggery, but still on small scale. So every day I am a busy man from morning up to evening, but I make sure I spare some time to do some counseling services, but they are free. Yes.
So as a man of diverse skills, but also diverse activities, running a food store, planting avocados, it takes a lot of resilience, but also balancing. What advice would you give people who are in one of those activities or more that would help them to live a balanced life? It cannot be balanced because there is always one bucket that takes more time than the other. But just advise people who are in that same kind of boat. They are planting, they are harvesting, they are digging, they are trading. And these, many of them, you know, your brothers, your step brothers and sisters are in this type of activities. We both know Reverend Canon, not Reverend Canon. What's his name? This is that Kadogo, Canon Kadogo.
Canon Ben Kadogo. He's in hardware.
Hardware, and now he has upstairs his son doing something else. Just advise traders in Kanungu who are listening, especially young people who want to get in these kind of businesses. What should somebody know to run a good business, to be more? I'm not going to give you the answers. Integrity,
okay.
honesty.
Okay, thank you. In fact, I would advise such people first do a survey and know where the customers are available. Like myself, in Kanungu, there are very many people who buy such a thing, who buy food. Yes. There are very many schools that depend on posho and beans and rice and what have you. And secondly, to know, to identify the source of supply. Because you might start a business and all of a sudden you fail to get supply. Then the business collapses. So you need first find out whether there is a stable market. Secondly, to know if there is supply. And thirdly, to identify a good place, accessible, an accessible place where you can easily get customers who don't even know you, but because your place is accessible, somebody might be passing through a street and he just looks at your shop and comes in because it is accessible. So those are some of the first things one should consider before starting a business. Then secondly, with business, it needs patience. Because because you can't easily start getting profits. And secondly, there are also price fluctuations. You may buy an item at 10,000, then after 2 days, you find other competitors are selling it at 7,000. So you should be well versed with the market prices, and again, be patient. Sometimes you make losses and the business almost collapses, but you have to be patient. It takes time to be successful in business. Then with farming is good, but even if you have land, it doesn't mean that you can start planting anything. You need first to contact the agriculture extension workers so that you can know what type of crops that can grow in your land.
Yes.
So that one is important too. Then secondly, you need to involve these technical people, especially when you are doing piggery, poultry, and what have you. You need to involve these technical people so that they can advise you on these strange diseases that can easily kill your animals. So, but farming is good. And for me, I decided to venture into fruits because there is a stable market. It is available. By the way, avocado even today, they are being carried to Kabale markets, so you can't get them anywhere. So they are few. So that's the business whereby you don't need to carry avocados to the market. They come to your garden and buy the avocados. So, but there is a challenge also whereby you need to use the manure.
Yes.
To use manure, like in planting those trees, whether coffee or avocado trees, you need to use organic manure. For example, like me, I have got chicken, I have got goats, so I get the manure from my animals, then I use it for planting those avocado trees. So, but the most important thing is to remain in touch with the technical people so that you can get a good advice and have a good produce. Secondly, another thing that I didn't talk about also is the banana plantation. I'm also doing a banana plantation. I don't buy matoke. In fact, sometimes I even sell some matoke. So I'm also doing matoke farming.
That is good.
And potatoes, beans, everything. I don't buy any food.
We are going to have an episode here coming up on banana planting, where we hosted LC3 Mali from Kambuga on banana planting. So those of you who are listening to this channel, you know we bring you an episode every single week, and that episode will be coming up here soon. So you are retired community worker, retired parish chief, not retired parish chief because you still do community work, and also you moved on from your grandmother coordinator. You are farming, you're a businessman, you're a community man, you're a grandfather, you're a husband, you are a man of so many talents, and I am so glad you spared time to come and share with our audience. We are so privileged to have you in Kanungu and to have you to continue to lead the community. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We are going to ask our guest one last question. If you are to give advice to yourself when you were 18 years old, what would that advice be?
Okay. Thank you, Jackson. It isn't an easy question, but if I were to give advice to myself at 18 and any other youth at 18,
Yes.
it would be simple. It would be to select the right company, wherever you are, whether in school or whether out of school. You need a better company that can guide you, that cannot mislead you. Because I remember at 18, I was a bit grown up, but there is a way how I made a miscalculation by having close friends who were not good. So by the way, up to now I still regret there is a way how they advised me badly, and I ended up missing some chances. Because immediately after 18, around 19, I was admitted in a education college. That is Kabale National Teachers College. study history and religious education. But because I had a very bad company whom I was moving out with, and we had even started drinking some booze.
Yeah,
They
local.
guided me. They said, why do you go for a teaching profession? They said, no, reject this offer. I rejected it, and in fact, up to now, I still regret. Because I was a very good religious education, I would be a very good religious education and history teacher. But because of bad company, I missed that chance, and I still regret. Much as I have touched very many lives, but as a teacher, I would have started changing lives very many years back. So I still regret joining that bad company because they were all older than me. So they guided me badly, and I missed it. I missed that chance of becoming a teacher because I would have been a very, very, very good teacher.
Wow.
So I advise these other people who are around 18 to make sure they are in the right companies and never to despise any type of job once it comes up. So that would be my advice. And if I were to advise me at 18, that's what would I would have moved with.
So basically, one of the another name for bad company, bad association, is peer pressure.
Yes.
People you are with, you are defined by the people you are with, and that's an advice we are getting here. And as a Christian man, I always say, everything God created it in His own way. Though you regret not being a teacher, God wanted you to be somewhere to do the work you've done. You could have, you can't change the past. So one of the things I've added on is past is gone, present is here. Prepare very well for your future. And here, again, we want to end this second part of conversation, one-on-one with TJK, with Godfrey Ngabirano, all the way from Kanungu, in the hills of Mulumba, who spared time to come and share with us. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to share before we conclude?
Yes, maybe my other future plans.
Yes.
Yes, because I have been a community leader and mobilizer for so long. And I live with the community, and I'm still engaged in the socio-economic development of our community. So I'm thinking of joining politics at a very high level in the near future.
Okay.
Yes.
You want to be an MP, you want to be a C5, or you will announce on this channel when you are ready?
When I'm ready, I will announce.
Perfect.
But very soon.
Very good. All the best. You have done so much already through voluntary services and non-profit. You will be an amazing leader. When that time comes, please let us know so we can announce it and support you as much as we can. Thank you so much once again for coming to visit us, for sharing your knowledge. Everybody, please continue to subscribe, to share, to comment. When this episode is up, share everything you want to share with us, and we'll make sure the grandmothers groups get to hear this. And if you haven't opened your account, Nyaka Microfinance in Kambuga Mohocha, you can do it by phone, by text messages, even if you have Nokia. This announcement will be coming through the radios and advertisements. This is our community. Let us build it together. Thank you for watching. Continue to share with everybody you know. Peace. The best is yet